be proactive and aware, right? Understanding that policies and other things help mitigate. It doesn't prevent, but it does help us. And so, you know, if you're the only car that's locked and the keys aren't in it and it's not running, if you're the only car on the street, you're less likely to get attacked, right? They'll attack all your neighbors, but less likely to have success attacking you. And that's really what it's about. Organizations need to keep better track of open source software, the pieces and the parts we use. We learned this, unfortunately, through Log4j.
Yeah, and by the way, with Log4j, the reason we're still, all the security experts, when this came out over a year ago now, said that this was going to be a widespread issue for a long time, and we are seeing that. You know, it's not hitting the media as hard, but it's still pervasive. And part of the reason is that this vulnerability does get reintroduced with new updates because it's so pervasive and it hits so many libraries. You install new plugins as part of some process that then has that Log4j library. You could be reintroducing the vulnerability. If you have a patching schedule, make sure that you are also re-looking for Log4j and vulnerabilities as often as possible, because it's one of those that we have seen is reintroduced after they said, oh yeah, we scanned it, we're good. So that's a lot of the more recent Log4j attacks were surprising to the team because they said, well, we had a clean bill of health for Log4j. Well, maybe they did.
They did, but then they installed
So this is one of those things to be aware of with Log4j specifically, but also with a lot of these other pervasive ones. Exchange is another one that sometimes reintroduces critical security flaws in their own patches, and it's a complicated system. So it's one of those situations where the best you can do is stay on the patch schedule and make sure that you're also doing vulnerability scanning.
Yeah, so to verify the patches are doing what we think they should do. Identify vulnerabilities, remediate them as you go, right? You know, it doesn't have to all be done at once, but it needs to be prioritized and done. Incident response plan. We keep harping on this because it's a critical one. It's one of the things that we've seen really helps with an incident. Look at security risk all throughout the process, right? Whether it's we're installing new cameras or we're developing new software, we need to make sure that security is built in and identified all the way through. And if we're going to open the door for a little reason, we're going to make sure that reason justifies the risk, because it always does. Customize cybersecurity solutions to meet each organization and individuals. You do not need access to all the information you currently have access to.
Least privilege.
Yeah, least privilege. Let's look at that in those pieces. Understanding architectures. What do we need? How does it work? What is this opening us up to? That vendor says they need a VPN into the heart and soul of our network. I don't know. Let's talk about that. What do you need access? Do you only need 1 hour, or does it have to be 24/7, 365? Big difference in the risk. Really understand.
Or maybe create a satellite network.
And that really leads into trust but verify. What's our supply chain doing?